Good, wonderful, wonderful evening, everyone. How are you? How are you? How are you? Good late night evening to everyone. So glad you could join me. I am Sparkle Smith. I am your writer, and I help individuals and communities heal through writing and education. And tonight is part two. Thank you so much for coming in. Invite your followers in your networks. Again, I'm Sparkle Smith. I am a writer. I help individuals and communities heal through writing and education. And so last night I did a scope entitled Put It in Writing. And so I talked about people being able to express their feelings, and writing is a way of therapy and healing. A lot of people can save a lot of money as opposed to going to a therapist. And I don't deter anyone from not going to a therapist, but a lot of people, one of the roadblocks of people possibly considering therapy is financial reasons because it's just too expensive, they feel. But writing has been proven to provide healing and therapy for individuals dealing with grief, loss, emotional challenges, depression, roadblocks, things of that nature. There are several well-known authors who have conferences, workshops, and therapeutic clinical writing sessions and clinics for individuals. And these individuals that go into their sessions have had testimonies of healing and their life turning around through the writing process. They were angry, involved in violence and crime and gangs, and because they were able to express themselves and found a way to express themselves and had a platform to express themselves, they were able to balance their emotions and their life, um, and provide stability and turn away from those destructive behaviors. And so, as a writer, I have come to understand that a lot of people don't know how to express their feelings or their emotions or how their feelings or how to process their emotions so that they can heal, because oftentimes some people have never had a space or place to address their emotions. Now, a lot of people upbringing is different. They may have been in an environment, a family where they could express themselves and speak openly, and express their thoughts without any control or without any restrictions. But then there's some of us who grew up where if you cry too much, you cry too loud, someone, a grandmother, grandparent, auntie, uncle, parent will say, dry those tears. I don't want to hear that. That crying gets on my nerves. It's just too much. You need to stop crying right now. So they can't even process their feelings, even if they got a spanking and it hurt terribly. It may have hurt their feelings more than just the physical, but it could have been either or. And they tell them to be quiet. That's very frustrating for an individual who's getting a spanking, and then on top of that, they can't process the crying. Um, and they may have been in a family that also, or this may be a different scenario where there was no spanking, there was no physical discipline, but they were still were not allowed to express their emotions um, fully. A lot of parents in the 50s, 60s, 70s, growing up, and even the 80s, I would hear adults say children should be seen and not heard. Or adults when I was growing up in the 80s would say, when they were growing up, their parents would say children should be seen and not heard. So these individuals grow up not being able to process or express their emotions fully and completely, and then it may come out in some other way, or they may, or some unhealthy way, or they just may find not saying that they're you everyone that doesn't know how to express their emotions are ministers to society, not by any stretch of imagination. A lot of them are very educated, articulate, intellectual individuals. However, there has to be a balance, and they just come to a roadblock with certain emotions when they're not able to process them. And so, writing to heal is a way to heal, to be confident in who you are, to strengthen your self-esteem, to motivate you to do more, to set your heights higher, and expand your horizon and be more motivated to accomplish more, to achieve more goals. And so, as a result of coming to terms with those emotions, you have the power to do that. There's power in the pen. People say it all the time. There's power in the pen. People write up documents, legal documents. That has to be in writing. When people make contracts, it has to be in writing. People say if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. So, your very existence has to be established in the form of writing. You taking control of the pen and writing it down. A lot of people express themselves maybe through writing a book or autobiography, but if you want to come to terms of healing and more focus and more strength and more balance, I encourage you to begin to get the courage. A lot of people don't have the courage because of their upbringing or whatever they've been through. They may not have the courage to want to write. It may just not be in them. And so they come to struggles with that, and they just don't know how. And what I would suggest is just writing down things with adjectives, fear, threat, anxiety, uncomfortableness, just words that come to your mind of what you're feeling or what you were feeling at that moment that you were feeling. Because sometimes you may be in the grocery store, you may be in the mall, you may be in the marketplace, at the business. You may not be able to write it down very quickly or exactly when it is happening. And so you can keep a mental note. Don't keep it for too long. It's good to process it that day or the next day, but as soon as possible. And even maybe make some declarations so that you don't walk into fear of not processing. Because sometimes I know starting off with writing, what I would do is I would process some that weren't hard to process and write it down and express my feelings. Others I would just leave alone if it was just too painful, or I was too fearful, or I didn't think anything was going to happen, or that person who disrespected me or said something that was negative had more power, whether it's social, political, or whatever sphere it was in. And so I wouldn't deal with those emotions. But it is imperative. I mean, I would care less nowadays what level it was. It's imperative that we really come to terms with our emotions, manage our emotions, and remain healthy. There's a doctor that I shared a couple scopes back, and I forgot his name, where he had a writing clinic center where he encouraged people to take 15 minutes out of their day about their feelings, what they felt in the day, why they felt the way they felt. Was it positive? Was it negative? What can they do to change if it was negative? If it's positive, how can they keep the momentum? And they would begin to do this 15 minutes a day for several days. I think it was either between 4 and 21 days. And he said that results show that their health level increased. It got better. Their grades improved. Their work environment was more suitable, was more doable as a result of them processing their emotions. And there's a naturopath doctor who has attributed digestion issues to lack of or their inability to process emotions. A person's inability to process emotions. So I would encourage you to definitely work on that. Work on the processing your emotions. There's a webinar I'm having, bit.ly/planning to heal, and another one, bit.ly web to heal, and that is going to discuss in detail what are some attributing factors for people who are fearful of expressing their emotions. If you don't know how to get started in processing your emotions and coming to terms with hurt, pain, grief, different things, what are the roadblocks and why do you have those roadblocks and what's the root of those roadblocks and how you can even come to terms with those roadblocks. So I encourage you to sign up for the webinar. Again, it's bit.ly/planning to heal. You can submit your information, and I send you a free worksheet. It's a $5 value. Also, bit.ly/web to heal. You sign up for the webinar. You still get the free worksheet if you sign up for the webinar. That's what I'm offering to all people who sign up for the webinar as well. So I encourage you. It will change your life. It will change the life of someone that you know that needs to heal, that needs to understand how to process their emotions, how to start, how to overcome those fears. What's the first step? What are the root causes? And how to deal with those root causes. So again, God bless each and every one of you. I encourage you. I'm Sparkle Smith. I'm a writer. I help you and those you serve through writing and education. I help individuals and communities heal through writing and education. bit.ly/web to heal. Sign up for the webinar. It is March 15th. You don't want to miss it. It's free. If you know someone or you struggle with processing your emotions, getting a hold of how you feel, understanding how you feel, being able to document in verse how you feel, being able to express it, put words to it, understand those words, understand what the root cause of how you feel, deal with any roadblocks of you not being able to express how you feel, getting better health. Digestion is one of the major things that people overlook. Digestion is a major, strong tower to your health. Your digestion system is linked to your immune system. And everyone knows if your immune system shut down, you're sick, you can't fight off infections and diseases and things of that nature. And so it's very important that we deal with our emotions and heal properly and identify them properly, get into touch with ourselves and understand ourselves better and our identity. Oftentimes we get in the hustle bustle of life and we just do. We're human beings that just are going through the motions sometimes and fall off and not realize our purpose or fall off the course of our purpose because we really just lose sight of who we are and don't know how to get a grip or hold of who we are. And a lot of that has to do with an inability to express ourselves, not having a space to express ourselves even from childhood. And those memory cells are still plugged in us, and we're still operating from a place of survival mode when we were children, not knowing how to express ourselves. And sometimes hurt can cause us to also put up certain walls, not just to let people in, but we have these feelings of resentment, and then we feel like we have a right to be angry because that means that we're not letting this person off the hook and that we don't agree. We express ourselves inadvertently because we don't admit it. But, a lot of times when people are holding on to things that someone did, they do it not because they want to stay bitter and mad and angry, but because they think that letting it go means that they agree with what the person did. And that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. Letting go means that you are letting go of pride. And when you have pride, you're not honest with yourself. You're very dishonest. And then you allow put yourself in a place of lack of honesty, and then you're not transparent with your feelings. And so you're not processing your emotions in the way you should. Well, God bless each and every one of you. bit.ly/web to heal. Please sign up for the free webinar. It will change your life, help your health, help you achieve your goals and plan for success. Talk to you later.